are really cool. They are also gritty, nasty, filled with scratches, pops. They can get water damaged. They can have beautiful pictures. They can be on colored vinyl. An enormous range of things that come along with records that you don't get on electronic media.
You know we don't want to stick figures till they come by the dollars. If that's what you're into, you might as well move along.
Culturally speaking, record stores have been important as watering holes, as meeting spots, as a crossroads of movers and shakers and prime movers in culture, people to exchange ideas, since the 1950s. Come forward into 1977, 76, 77, when the punk thing starts. And record stores, it was around the record store bins that I would meet other collectors pawing through those same bins that I was, going through the imports, looking at the Damned records and the Sex Pistols and the adverts and what have you. And you would go, wow, you're into the same stuff I'm in. I didn't know there was any else of us around. And you started meeting people. So it created a community of people before there was a scene. It was the genesis of that scene, was those record bins. And I used to get on my bicycle and cycle up to Vicon Village, which was a flea market not that far from where I lived on the north side of Dallas. And there was a booth there that this woman ran. And one day when I went up there, she wasn't there. Her son was. And he was probably all of 30 years old, and maybe even in his late 20s. And there was a box of records that appeared there, a little crate of 45s that had a bunch of 50s rock and roll in it, and they were whatever they were, $4 for $1.50 a piece. And I bought like half the crate. I bought a whole bunch of those records, and I said, "Get more of these records. These are great." And the next week I came in there, and the guy had like 2 boxes of records, and I bought a whole bunch of those. Get more of these records. And then I came back the next week, and there were more records there, and he just kept getting more and more and more records. Well, this was Bill Weisner.
You know, there were a lot of people my age and stuff that like music just as much as me. It brought good memories and brought friends, and like I say, there was one of our friends that her mother would let us come over every day after school, and everybody brought their records, you know, and most parents wouldn't do that, but everybody would just go hang out at Sarah's every day and play records after school and stuff. So I always loved music.
I was just a high school kid, and he was just helping his mom out, and that space grew and grew and grew. And then I went off to college, and when I came back, there was this thing called Bill's Records. And it's like, oh, I got to go check Bill's record. There's the same guy that I saw at the, years earlier at the flea market. Bill's was the consummate hangout. That was the place where people were going, especially teenagers and college-age kids, were going to hear new stuff.
Back then, it was like, it only takes a spark to start a candle burning or something like that. It was like, I don't know. It just started, and every day it just the momentum of the momentum just increased.
He was kind of like the cool uncle. He shouldn't like the music because he's too old for it, but he did. So he was the cool adult that made it okay.
Every day was like I was almost, there were problems. I mean, you get some mean people too, but I guess it was like Never Neverland.
There's a lot of towns that have this sort of setup, but in a city the size of Dallas, it was a pretty unique situation. So Bill's was the place to go. You could always head to Bill's and meet other like-minded people and pick up some really fun sounds.
It was everybody's that came in because everybody felt at home in there. And I know that because they'd keep, they knew they were welcome.
Now, with the internet going full bore, people are understanding that they can actually go to a place like Spinster, like Dead Wax, like Josie, like GrooveNet, and actually paw through records, look at something, hold it, smell it, touch it, lick it if you want, and buy it that's a very different experience, because what we've had is we've had a couple decades now of instant gratification with MP3s. I want it, I've heard about it, I saw it on YouTube, I download it, I own it, sorta.
And I thought, see, I kept thinking when it started going down that that would happen. So this has been very, very exciting to me.
Josie Records is a record store. What we like to do here is just kind of like bring that old school record store vibe back, and then along with like a lot of the art and other things like that. We have an art gallery over there, and we have the DJ booth and everything like that. We're kind of trying to just create a whole vibe in and of the record store. The record store vibe is just like having music going on, looking for stuff, and like that, getting on your knees and trying to find the shit that's like really cheap or super expensive or something you've never seen before, and then being able to ask someone, like being able to ask one of the employees, like, oh, what do you think about this, or what do you, like, do you guys have this, and different things like that.
In music, going to record stores, especially the old style record stores, which I have to compliment Josie Records for echoing this. They used to have listening booths where you could actually take a record in and check it out before you purchased it. That's another great place where people would, hey, you ought to hear this, and you would play a record for somebody else, and it might turn them on to a sound.
But I really dig the listening stations here because you can find those crazy covers and then just be like, okay, I want to hear how it sounds, and then just go check it out.
There's an inherent disconnect with an MP3 because you don't have that tangible physical thing. You can't, you don't have the thing to hold in your hand.
Records used to come with like a whole biography of the artist, like a few pages in the vinyl and everything, but like that. I don't know. It's just, like, to me, it's definitely the most tangible way of listening to music. Oh no. I think that's why it's coming back, because the digital went so far away from it that people are wanting to go back. Like, a lot of people nowadays are going back to like their older phones, like their Nokias or whatever, just because, like, man, the iPhone got me so out of my world, like, out of the real world and everything like that.
MP3s are what they are. They are generally hyper-compressed. They're little nasty things that can get easily lost, and you pay probably $1 if you play the game right to buy it legally. For $1, if you play your cards right, you could get a full LP worth of material, 12 songs plus artwork, if you can put up with it being older music. And there's a lot of older music that is worthwhile.
I don't know, it's just cool for me to say, like, oh, I got this record, man. Like, it's bigger, like, I can hold it in both hands and just be like, yo, look at this, and I don't know, it's cool. It looks cooler as a collection, too. Instead of my iTunes library being stacked, it's just like, oh, I gotta build a shelf and shit like that. I don't know, it's just connected me a little bit more with the music. Yeah, I started liking a whole lot of different genres too because of like vinyl in and of itself. Like, I started liking rock again. I hadn't liked rock since junior high, but I started like digging rock for some different, like some psych rock stuff that I'd never heard before, and I wouldn't have found it if it weren't for record stores. It definitely changed my way of listening to music for sure, because now whenever I listen to music, I listen to a whole record. Unless it's like on a 45 or a 12-inch single or whatever like that. For the most of the time I listen to a whole record all the way through, like front and back.
I love the fact that record stores are appealing to a new audience because they've been given a second chance. It is a really successful format. Flat, black, and circular has been around since 1895. And that's a long time for a format. They're durable as hell. They will last through a flood. They will last through heat and cold. Just don't get them in direct sunlight. They can be repaired. And they have an interesting sound to them. So I'm a huge fan of vinyl.